Well, Republicans loved what they heard from President Trump. Joining us now is Texas Republican Congressman Pete Sessions. He is a co-chair of the DOJ Caucus, a group that is dedicated to working with Elon Musk to shrink the government. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. And I do want to pick up where Kevin left off, specifically as it refers to Ukraine. We did hear some conciliatory language from the president last night, where it looks like there may be progress made on a rare earths mineral deal. But when you hear now, with the CIA director confirming that intelligence sharing has been paused for now, 24 hours after weapons have been paused as well, you said this a few days ago. I don't envision in the short run where it would be our best interests, and I know it would not be for Europe's best interests to switch partnerships and begin trusting the Russians, which I do not. So help us make sense of what this administration is doing right now to Ukraine.
It's my understanding that there have been an extensive amount of backroom discussions, private discussions, which are always necessary, not just in diplomacy, but trying to set the stage, in this case, of a new president, a new Secretary of State, a new FBI director, a brand new CIA director, and perhaps more importantly, a new Pentagon chief. What we're going through is a viewpoint where the president, and I think he's consistent, and I need to keep listening also, wants this war to end right now. And I think that from his perspective, there's nothing wrong with his position, except I want to make sure that we do this where there's a position of strength. So what happened is there was this public, what I call lapse, this dialogue that was not favorable, I don't think, to President Zelensky, and I don't think it was favorable to the Ukrainian people, where evidently he came in not prepared for Donald Trump. Perhaps he'd been coached, perhaps not, and took a stand that was adversarial, not just to the United States, but to one that would end the war. I have been a person that believes that the strength of all of us together, including NATO, including the United States and Ukraine, was in Europe's best interest and in America's best interest. So it happened, a quick change is what's happened. The president is still after Europe to take up more of their own defense, Europe to step up to the plate as he was 8 years ago, that I think is very favorable. But it is true, as you suggest, I did believe that the United States should stand strong behind Ukraine to get a better deal. If this comes down to where there's a pause as opposed to a win or a loss, I think the United States needs to see it for what that is.
But you do understand the optics, not to mention the real-life consequences of giving Russia concessions by suggesting that you're going to be removing offensive cyber operations, perhaps even lifting sanctions, making clear that Ukraine cannot join NATO, and also punishing Ukraine, our ally, a democratic country that was illegally invaded. You do realize the optics that this sends, because it doesn't square with the message that you've just sent.
Well, my message that I sent, that I've been consistent throughout these years, is to say that I believe that strength and the positioning that the United States would have with Europe, with Ukraine, was the best answer. This script got changed in that the president went for resolution, peace, and then I think he attempted to find a way to still have the United States involved, not with our troops, but certainly through needing to make sure that we got these minerals that are very important to not just the United States, but that Russia not get them. So I think it was a two-sided delivery that the president has. He was trying to give some assurance to Ukraine that we would buy their rare earth minerals, but that he wanted the war to end. And I think we're all slow to the take. I know I have been slow to the take to listen that this is going to be something that would be interesting. Now, last time I was on, we also had the former head of NATO Wesley Clark on, who said, I think we need to listen. This is a bigger ball game that President Trump is attempting to change, and that is the Russia-China relationship also. So I promised I would listen and study that. I'm still doing that. I think there's more to this effort than just Zelensky, Putin, and Trump. I think it is about a larger effort to move Russia away from China.
I do want to start by talking about the effect of tariffs on the American people. I want to play you a little bit of what we heard from Senator Elisa Slotkin of Michigan just yesterday. She talked about how some of Donald Trump's policies are there to only enrich his billionaire friends, as well as the effect of these new tariffs on ordinary Americans. I'm going to play the soundbite and then we can talk about it on the back end.
President Trump is trying to deliver an unprecedented giveaway to his billionaire friends. He's on the hunt to find trillions of dollars to pass along to the wealthiest in America. And to do that, he's going to make you pay in every part of your life. His tariffs on allies like Canada will raise prices on energy, lumber, and cars, and start a trade war that will hurt manufacturing and farmers.
The president spoke a lot about immigration, about transgender politics, about a little bit about the war in Ukraine. Obviously, he read that letter from President Zelensky, but not that much about rising prices. He mentioned tariffs a little bit, but not much about the effect on ordinary Americans. He mentioned that there could be a little bit of disturbance, in his words, but you have to remember that one of the main reasons why Donald Trump got voted into office this time around was because of the economy, was because of inflation, because of his promises to lower prices on ordinary Americans. Given that context, should he have mentioned the economy and the effects of these tariffs on ordinary Americans and what he is doing to lower prices? Should he have mentioned that more in his speech to Congress last night?
I think it's important to understand that when you're Donald Trump and you see yourself being attacked, which he was, that was completely unfair to say this is about billionaires. This was not about billionaires. It is about a reciprocation between the United States and other nations, where they have tariffs on the United States that keep American products from being sold in their countries. And so what Donald Trump is trying to do is level the playing field. Will that level playing field result in some products being delivered that will be more expensive? Yes, probably. I think he sees the longer move, and that is where we sustain the tax code that we do, inviting American entrepreneurship to take up the making of these products. But it clearly, and I will be the first to say this is a change of policy, this is a change of direction, but we also know what was going to happen in the other form, and that is America's ability to pay its bills, to be the leading currency in the world, and to sustain what we were doing was not going to happen. So I'm delighted to listen, to learn, to try and articulate. Is this pretty going through change? It is not. Change is difficult. But will we be on the other side, I think rather rapidly, of saying America has a brighter future? Yes, I think that is true, because we have children and grandchildren. We also need to make sure that make this American dream also.
As we said earlier this morning, the Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision rejected President Trump's request to keep billions of dollars in approved foreign aid frozen. We should note the High Court did not immediately say when this money must be released, but it does allow the White House to continue to dispute this issue in the lower courts. As somebody who is co-chair of the DOJ caucus, do you take this as a loss on your part? These are efforts that you've been working together with Elon Musk on, and what are some of the takeaways from you in terms of this rapid, at times ad hoc approach to slashing funding? Do you think that there's a lesson to be learned here now that we've heard the Supreme Court weigh in against this particular issue?
I think I take it as a definite opportunity for myself to not only work closer with what might be the OMB, DOJ, but to be able to highlight these efforts. We have been here in Congress seeing rapid fire by this administration not only the effects of this, but Social Security, EPA, all these issues, and we are attempting to not only gather information that would be more than anecdotal evidence, it would be direct information. And I think the Supreme Court and all courts need to see that we're going to make progress on behalf of the American people by making sure they understand the whole story. And I think I have failed in that effort, and I know that I've got to do a better job. This happened in a town hall meeting, that I promised that I would come back, I would be very specific, and I would make sure the American people, meaning them in the 17th District of Texas, understood what we're talking about and why it's important. And I think I still have that obligation, and I intend to do it.
Well, we'd love to come with you if you'd allow us to one of these town hall meetings
Yes, ma'am.
as well. Republican Congressman Pete Sessions, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the time.
You bet.